And Erica Young from Kitchener, Ontario, an armor officer currently posted to Canadian Forces Base Gagetown. The armored officer is to manage fleet of vehicles and the troops that run those vehicles on the battlefield.
Canada is doing something it usually avoids until the last minute. It's moving fast. In January 2026, at a defense conference in England, Canadian officials quietly dropped big news. They want to speed up buying at least 250 new armored fighting vehicles. Not someday, not mid-2030s. They're aiming for 2029 to 2031. That's a serious shift. And that's not all. Canada is also upgrading its current Leopard 2 tanks, but at the same time, it's already thinking about what replaces them. A brand new future tank could be identified around 2030, even while the old Leopards keep getting modernized into the 2030s. That's not routine maintenance, that's urgency. So what changed? 3 words. The Arctic is heating up. Not just the climate, the competition. The North is becoming more important, more accessible, and more crowded. More ships, more patrols, more strategic attention from big powers. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You can't defend the Arctic with paperwork and polite diplomacy. You need capability. Right now, Canada's land forces have solid professional troops and modern equipment in some areas. But heavy armor? It's aging. And wheeled vehicles don't work everywhere in the far north. If Canada wants real presence, not symbolic presence, it needs tracked vehicles and credible firepower.
That's why this is happening in 2 steps. 1. Get more armored vehicles quickly to build stronger combat units and meet NATO commitments. 2. Figure out the next tank now, not when the Leopards are too old to matter. This lines up with Canada's 2024 Defense Policy Update, Our North, Strong and Free. The message is blunt. The world is less stable. The Arctic matters more, and Canada has to be able to defend itself, help defend North America, and still show up for allies. Buying new armor won't fix everything. Recruitment, logistics, Arctic infrastructure, those are big challenges too. But this move signals something important. Canada is starting to act like the warning lights aren't theoretical anymore. Buried inside Canada's latest defense policy is a number that matters. The government says defense spending will rise to 1.76% of GDP by 2029-2030, and that it's laying the groundwork to eventually reach NATO's 2% target. That may not sound dramatic, but for Canada, it is. Why now? Because the Arctic isn't a frozen postcard. It's not a Disney scene with polar bears waving at penguins. And by the way, penguins don't even live there. And polar bears? They're ruthless predators. The Arctic is harsh, strategic, and unforgiving. More importantly, it's a gateway to North America. Russia operates there constantly. China calls itself a near-Arctic state and keeps trying to expand its footprint. Strip away all the talk about oil and shipping lanes, and one fact remains. If someone wants a northern approach to North America, this is it. And if you want early warning and real deterrence, you need more than speeches. You need sensors, aircraft, ships, infrastructure, and troops on the ground to protect it all. That's where North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, comes in. NORAD is the joint US-Canada command responsible for aerospace warning and control over North America. For decades, the problem has been geography. The Arctic is enormous. The distances are brutal. So in 2022, Canada announced a $38.6 billion 20-year plan to modernize NORAD. The goal? Better sensors, better command and control, better infrastructure, earlier detection. One key piece is over-the-horizon radar. It sounds futuristic, but the idea is simple. Instead of relying only on line-of-sight radar, which is limited by the curve of the Earth, you bounce signals off the upper atmosphere to detect threats much farther away. It's about time. Minutes matter. Distance matters. All of this signals something important. Canada, a country where about 40% of the landmass is Arctic, is starting to take northern defense more seriously. And frankly, it needs to. So what does Canada actually have on the ground? The honest answer? A little bit of everything. Some modern, some aging. One clear strength: experience running wheeled armored vehicles. The backbone of the Army is the LAV 6.0, the upgraded version of the older LAV 3. Starting in 2011, Canada began upgrading about 550 vehicles to the newer standard. The LAV 6 is modern by NATO standards, well understood by Canadian crews, and reliable in many environments. But here's the tension. Wheeled vehicles are great, until you hit terrain where they struggle. And in parts of the Arctic, that terrain wins. That's why buying new armor, tracked vehicles included, isn't just procurement paperwork. It's Canada quietly admitting that the North isn't theoretical anymore. It's strategic. Canada took 550 older LAV-3s and turned them into LAV 6.0s. The upgrades weren't cosmetic. They added a double V hull to better survive mines and IEDs, a stronger 450 horsepower engine, new suspension and transmission, better fire control systems, and improved armor. By 2019, all 550 were delivered by General Dynamics Land Systems. Today, Canada runs 5 main LAV-6 variants: Infantry Section Carrier, the main fighting version, Command Post, Engineer, Reconnaissance, Observation Post. The Infantry Section Carrier carries the M242 Bushmaster, a 25mm chain gun that's reliable, proven, and still very relevant. The other variants focus on command, engineering, scouting, and battlefield awareness. On top of that, Canada is fielding 360 Armored Combat Support Vehicles, ACSVs, to replace its old tracked M113s. These come in multiple support roles: troop transport, ambulance, command post, electronic warfare, recovery, maintenance, and more. It's about keeping the force moving and functioning. There are also about 500 Textron TAPVs, lighter patrol vehicles armed up to a 40mm grenade launcher. Useful, but not heavy hitters. Then there are the tanks. Canada operates 74 Leopard 2 tanks, 2A4 and 2A6 variants. The Leopard carries a 120mm main gun, with the 2A6 using the longer L55 version. It's a respected main battle tank, proven from Afghanistan to Ukraine. Canada is now upgrading its 2A6s to the 2A6M standard, adding better belly and turret protection. There's also a heavy direct fire modernization effort focused on optics and fire control. In simple terms, helping crews see first and hit first. Tanks are expensive, they're heavy, they're complicated, but when you need protected firepower on a battlefield filled with drones and missiles, nothing else quite replaces them. And that's exactly why Canada is already thinking about what comes next. Canadian defense officials weren't just talking about upgrading the Leopard 2. They said something bigger. Canada plans to pick and begin buying a new main battle tank by 2030, and for a while it would serve alongside the Leopards, not immediately replace them. Think transition, not overnight swap. Here's the reality. Canada is excellent with wheeled armor. Its army knows how to run it, fix it, fight it. But the Arctic doesn't care how good you are on pavement. Snow, muskeg, deep mud, broken ground, heavy loads. In terrain like that, tracks matter. Wheels have limits. Tracks crawl through misery. That's why Canada now wants 250 new tracked armored fighting vehicles, and sooner. The old plan pushed delivery into the mid-2030s. Now they want them showing up in 2029. The requirements are serious. Protection against 30mm cannon fire and the ability to survive a nearby 155mm artillery blast, NATO's high protection standard, STANAG Level 6. These aren't light scouts. These are vehicles meant to fight and survive. Possible contenders: the Lynx KF-41, the CV-90, or the K-21 Redback. All are already in production, which means Canada wouldn't need to invent something from scratch. Just get in line. But here's the harder truth. Buying armor is the easy part. Crewing it, maintaining it, training people fast enough, that's tougher. As of March 2025, Canada's regular force sat around 65,700 troops, short of its 71,500 target. The primary reserve was also thousands under strength. An October 2025 Auditor General report flagged recruiting and training bottlenecks that are creating real gaps. Procurement slides can look impressive. Empty seats inside new vehicles do not. The upside? Recruiting trends can improve faster than vehicle production lines move. By the time these tracked vehicles arrive, Canada could have more troops ready. And that's the bigger point. This isn't Canada turning aggressive. It's Canada looking north, seeing a harsher world, and deciding it would rather be ready than surprised.
This isn't about Canada suddenly wanting to flex muscle. It's about geography finally sending the bill. For decades, Canada could lean on its close partnership with the United States, the world's most powerful military, and keep its own force smaller and more specialized. And to be fair, Canada has shown up. In Afghanistan alone, it lost more than 100 troops fighting alongside its allies. But the Arctic is changing. Long-range missiles, submarines, and great power competition are no longer abstract ideas. They're real. And when threats get longer range and faster, the minimum credible defense gets bigger. That's why Canada is moving quickly now, after years of moving slowly. The strategy makes sense. The challenge is execution. Buying vehicles is the easy part.
The hard part? Fielding them on time, training crews, maintaining them, building Arctic infrastructure where cold, distance, and isolation are constant enemies. So what matters next? First, the tracked vehicle program. If Canada truly wants new tracked armored vehicles by 2029-2031, we should soon see firm requirements and a clear choice: buy something proven off the shelf or customize it into a drawn-out science project. Second, the tank plan. Upgrading the Leopards keeps them relevant into the mid-2030s, but will identify and begin procurement by 2030 turn into a real decision, or will politics and shifting priorities slow it down? And finally, the least flashy issue: people. Canada is still short on troops. Recruiting and training bottlenecks are real. If those aren't fixed, even the best equipment becomes an expensive parking lot. Overall, though, this direction feels grounded in reality. Canada isn't chasing headlines. It's responding to geography, to competition, and to a harsher world. The question now isn't whether the plan makes sense. It's whether the hardware and the people show up on time.